ಸಂಸಾರದಾವ ನಲಲಿಡಲೋಕ ತ್ರಾಣಾಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣಾಗಣತ್ವಂ प्रप्तस्य कल्याणगुणर्नवस्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् प्रप्तस्य कल्याणगुणर्नवस्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् महाप्रभो कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसुरसेना महाप्रभो कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसुरसेना रोमाञ्चकाम्पा सुतरङ्गबाजो वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् रोमाञ्चकाम्पा सुतरङ्गबाजो वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यानाना सिङ्गारतान्मन्दिरमजनादो युक्तस्य भक्तां च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् युक्तस्य भक्तां च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसादा स्वादान्न तृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गान् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसादा स्वादान्न तृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्गान् कृतैव तृप्तिं भजता सदैव वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपाणां नाम प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपास्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसीद्यै यायालिभिर्युक्तेरपेक्षणीया तत्रादिदाक्षात् अतिवल्लभास्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् साक्षादरित्वेन्दा समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तास्तथा भाव्यत एव साध्वी किन्तु प्रभोर्या प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायान् सुवांस्तस्य यशस्त्रीसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरु श्रीचरण नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhava Radha Nila Madhava Radhe Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadrama Jayo Sudarshana Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Sita Ram Jayo Lakshmana Hanuman Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Gauranitai 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 Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Guru Deva 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Jai Om Shnupada Brahmamsa Prataka Acharya Shtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Abharchana Rinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON PBTPI Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Shnupada Brahmamsa Prataka Acharya Shtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premise Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapradam Ki Jai Shri Purushottam Chaitar Jagnapuri Dham Ki Jai Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samarita Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Krishna Pusha Abhishek Mahosava Ki Jai Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishiguru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankana Kalaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Bahir Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Narsimha Madin Sharanam Prapate. Tavakara Kamala Varenakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Kara Kamala Vare Bhutta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Narasingha Dev. Jaya Narasingha Dev. Jaya Narasingha Dev. Jaya Narasingha Dev. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Bhakt भक्त विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय। भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
Vishnu Bhakti Pade Devi Satyavatai Namo Namaha
विष्णु भक्ति प्रद देवी सत्यवत्ताय नमो नमः।
Vrindaya Tulasi Devaya Piyaya Keshava Sacha Vishnu Bhakti Pade Devi Satyavatai Namo Namaha
विष्णु भक्ति प्रद देवी सत्यवत्ताय नमो नमः।
Vrinda Devi Tulasi Marani Ki Jai
जय।
Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha Bhaj Radha Krishna Seva Pabho Eya Bilasi Radha Krishna Seva Pabho Eya Bilasi Je tomar sharan loy Tara bancha purna hoy Je tomar sharan loy Tara bancha purna hoy Kripa kori koro tare Vrindavan basi Tumi kripa kori koro tare Vrindavan basi Moraya bila Vilas kunje diyo ba Moraya bila Vilas kunje diyo Vinaya ne ribo sada Yugal ruparasi Aminaya ne ribo sada Yugal ruparasi Ini vedana dharo Shakira nugata koro Ini vedana dharo Shakira nugata koro Seva dikara diye Koro nijadasi Tumi seva dikara diye Koro nijadasi Dina Krishna dase koe Eye namora hoye Dina Krishna dase koe Eye namora Shri Radha Govinda pe me Sada jina bhasi Ami Shri Radha Govinda pe me Sada jina bhasi Shri राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा जिनभासी राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा जिनभासी तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति तदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति तदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि च पापानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Jaya Tulsi Maharani 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 Jaya Vrinda Devi 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 Jaya Vrinda Tai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Tai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Tai Gora Hari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavata Namo Namaha Vrindaye Tulasi Devaya Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataye Namo Namaha Vrindaye Tulasi Devaya Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataye Namo Namaha Vrinda Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai Oh Tulasi, beloved of Krishna, I bow before you again. My desire is to obtain the six Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wishes fulfilled. Bestowing and making me resident of Shiva. My desire is to grant me residence in the precious groves of Shiva down the town. Thus within my vision I shall behold the beautiful pattern of Radha and Krishna. I
I beg you to make me follower Karo Danso's Virgin. Please give the preach devotional service and make me own maidservant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love Shri Radha and Govinda Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy names should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuing the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna when the auspicially choose activities, offering the Veda fruity activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glory of holy name. 10. To not complete faith in chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachment in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses. In order to achieve desired success, Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So today is the Sri Krishna Puja Abhishek. I'll just read a short description. During the morning puja worship, the deity of Shalagram is based in pure ghee. Srila Prabhupada once explained the festival this way. Krishna was just a toy in the hands of the gopis. So one day the gopis decided that we shall decorate him. Puja Abhishek means a ceremony to decorate the deity profusely with flowers, ornaments, clothes. After there should be a lavish feasting and a procession through the streets, so that all the citizens should see how beautiful Krishna appears. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Jeto darpana marjanam bhava mahadavakni nirvapanam shriya gairava chantrika vitaranam vidyavatu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnarmita swadanam sarvatma swatampanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Agadi Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etati Shri Tavarkripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Desham Yihajani Nanurakaha Trinatapi Sunijena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kahamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishvare Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tvai Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Han Vishame Bhavam Puto Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Turi Satwisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galata Shrutaraya Vadanam Gadgata Rudaya Gira Pulakai Nichitam Mapurkada Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunya Itam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashirishava Padratam Pinnashtumam Adarshanam Marmhatam Karotuva Yatha Tatha Va Vitatatu Lampato Madprana Nathastu Saeva Naparaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes fire of conditional life for repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is prime benediction humanity in large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases ocean transcendent bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have vested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by holy names, but I am so unfortunate I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more taller than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son Marjananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow I have fallen in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the Adams at lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears, love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name. When my voice choke up, when hurts my body stand at the station of your name. O Govinda, feeling our separation comes a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Charanam prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Suyam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pachajate Shatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanivi Devi Daidaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuryo Jala Prematya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Muteye Dinatarine Rupa Nuga Viruddha Pasiddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Muteye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nirtishta Sajana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarabhama Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpa Durupyascha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patitanam Pavne Pyo Vaishnave Pyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinapanto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Sratoro Pangor Mama Mandar Mater Kati Masarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindadana Kalpadumata Shimadra Nagara Singhasanasto Shimadra Shila Govinda Devo Prishtari Pi Sevyamano Samarami Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Tatastitaha Karsham Venu Suner Gopir Gopinata Shiyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vishapanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Mangala Charan Prayers Ki Jai. Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadya Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Parakara Satma Sukhopa Viksha Rakshariteshu Surabhi Rabhi Parayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahmasevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kavanantam Aravinda Talaya Daksham Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kantarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shopam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Alola Chantakala Savanamara Vamshi Ranangadam Panayakeri Kalavilasam Shamam Tipanga Lalitam Yatapakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vritti Pashanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chimma Satu Chira Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Advaitam Achotam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durabam Adurabam Atma Bhakta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Pantastu Koti Shatavassara Sampragamyo Vayurathapi Manaso Muni Pangavanam Sopiasti Yapapada Simya Vichinta Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ekopya Sara Chaitum Jagatanta Kotim Yachakti Rasti Jagatanta Jayaya Dantaha Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Yad Bhava Pavita Diyo Manuchasta Teva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhushaha Suktayam Eva Nikama Patitai Stuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ananda Chimma Rasa Patipavitapi Tapiya Eva Jarupa Tayakalapihi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhutto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sateva Hidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundamachintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Pajami Ramadi Murtishu Kalanyamena Tishtan Nanavatara Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Parama Pumam Yo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, the Supreme Godhead, he has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin as the prime cause of all causes. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purple trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always reveals in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyama Sundara is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the fully fleshed functions of all organs. The eternal sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purush. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam. By drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman, by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. Do the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra sutras told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Golok, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Syamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotee sees in the heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Ram, Narsimha, Vaman, etc., as his subjective proportions.
ब्रह्म संहिता की जय. भगवद गीता 7.1 शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनः हृदयन्ता हि सो हि अपत्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतं नष्टप्रेयस्व अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी तदा राजास्तमो भावा कामा लोभाजयश्चे चेत एतैरनावीदं सितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थेश्चिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते च कर्माणि दृष्टा एवात्मनीश्वरे. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity, and for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thirst, love, material lust, and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Asamsayam Samagram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 1.2.17 to 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. Hare Krishna. We'll continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 20. Yogeshwaraiswarya ghatir linga banjastu yoginam vedopadeva dharmanam itihasa puranayoh. Yoga Ishvara, of the master of the mystic powers. Aishwarya, opulence. Gatihi, advancement. Linga, astral body. Bangaha, detachment. Tu, bhat, yoginam, of the mystics. Veda, transcendental knowledge. Upaveda, knowledge in pursuance of the Veda directly. Dharmanam, of the religiosities. Itihasa, history. Puranayo, of the Puranas. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What are the opulences of the great mystics, and what is their ultimate realization? How does a perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas? Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Yogeshwara, or the master of the mystic powers, can exhibit 8 kinds of wonders of perfection by becoming smaller than the atom or lighter than the feather, getting anything and everything he desires, going anywhere and everywhere he likes, creating even a planet in the sky, etc. There are many Yogeshwaras having different proficiencies in these wonderful powers, and the topmost of all of them is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest yogi, and he can perform such wonderful things far beyond the ordinary living beings. The devotees of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, do not directly practice the process of mystic powers. But by the grace of the Lord, his devotee can defeat even a great Yogeshwara like Durvasa Muni, who picked a quarrel with Maharaja Ambarisha and wanted to show the powerful achievements of his mystic powers. Maharaja Ambarisha was a pure devotee of the Lord, and thus, without any effort on his part, the Lord saved him from the wrath of Yogeshwara Durvasa Muni, and the latter was obliged to beg pardon from the king. Similarly, at the time of Draupadi's precarious position, when she was attacked by the Kurus who wanted to see her naked in the open assembly of the royal order, the Lord saved her from being stripped by supplying an unlimited length of sari to cover her. And Draupadi knew nothing of mystic powers. Therefore, the devotees are also Yogeshwaras by the unlimited power of the Lord, just as a child is powerful by the strength of the parents. They do not try to protect themselves by any artificial means, but are saved by the mercy of the parents. Maharaja Parikshit inquired from the learned Brahmana Sukadeva Goswami about the ultimate destination of such great mystics, or how they attain such extraordinary powers by their own efforts or by the grace of the Lord. He inquired also about the detachment from the subtle and gross material bodies. He inquired also about the purports of the Vedic knowledge. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, the whole purport of all the Vedas is to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become a transcendental loving servant of the Lord.
Text 21, Canto 2, Chapter 8. Samplava sarva bhutanam vikrama pratisankrama ista purtasya kamyanam trivargasya cha yo vidhi. Samplava, the perfect means or complete devastation. Sarva bhutanam, of all living beings. Vikrama, special power or situation. Pratisankrama, ultimate destruction. Ista, performance of Vedic rituals. Purtasya, pious acts in terms of religion. Kamyanam, rituals for economic development. Trivargasya, three means of religion, economic development and sense satisfaction. Cha, also, ya, whatsoever. Vidhi, procedures. Translation. Please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Tell me also of the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? And what are the procedures of religion, economic development, and sense satisfaction? Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samplava, in the sense of perfect means, is employed to denote the discharging of devotional service, and Prati Samplava means just the opposite, or that which destroys the progress of devotional service. One who is firmly situated in the devotional service of the Lord can very easily execute the function of conditioned life. Living the conditioned life is just like plying a boat in the middle of the ocean. One is completely at the mercy of the ocean, and at every moment there is every chance of being drowned in the ocean by a slight agitation. If the atmosphere is all right, the boat can ply very easily, undoubtedly, but if there is some storm, fog, wind, or cloud, there is every possibility of being drowned in the ocean. No one can control the whims of the ocean. However, one may be materially well equipped. One who has crossed the oceans by ship may have sufficient experience of such dependence upon the mercy of the ocean, but one can ply over the ocean of material existence by the grace of the Lord very easily, without any fear of storm or fog. It all depends on the will of the Lord. No one can help if there is some unfortunate danger in the state of a conditioned life. The devotees of the Lord, however, cross the ocean of material existence without anxiety, because a pure devotee is always protected by the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 9.13. The Lord gives special attention to his devotees in their activities within material conditioned life. Bhagavad Gita 9.29. Therefore, everyone should take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and be a pure devotee of the Lord by all means. One should know, therefore, from the expert spiritual master the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service. Just as Maharaj Parikshit asked his spiritual master, Srila Sukadev Swami, according to Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, one should not eat more than what he requires to maintain body and soul together. Vegetable diets and milk are sufficient for maintenance of the human body, and therefore one has no need to eat anything more to satisfy the palate. One should also not accumulate money to become puffed up in the material world. One should earn his livelihood easily and honestly, for it is better to become a coolie for an honest livelihood than to become a great man in society by hook and crook. There is no harm if one becomes the richest man in the world by honest dealings, but one should not sacrifice the honest means of livelihood simply to accumulate wealth. Such an endeavor is harmful to devotional service. One should not talk nonsense. A devotee's business is to earn the favor of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee should always glorify the Lord in his wonderful creations. A devotee should not decry the creation of the Lord, defying him by saying that he has created a false world. The world is not false. Factually, we have to take so many things from the world for our maintenance. So, how we can say that the world is false? Similarly, how can one think of the Lord as being without form? How can one become formless and at the same time have all intelligence, consciousness, direct and indirect? So there are many things for a pure devotee to learn, and he should learn them perfectly from bona fide personalities like Sukadev Goswami. The favorable conditions for discharging devotional service are that one should be very enthusiastic in serving the Lord. The Lord, in his form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanted the cult of devotional service to the Lord to be preached all over the world in every nook and corner, and therefore a pure devotee's duty is to discharge this order as far as possible. Every devotee should be very enthusiastic not only in performing his daily rituals of devotional service but in trying to preach the cult peacefully by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. If he is not superficially successful in such an attempt, he should not be deterred from the discharge of his duty. Success or failure has no meaning for a pure devotee because he is a soldier in the field. Preaching the cult of devotional service is something like declaring war against materialistic life. There are different kinds of materialists, such as the fruitive workers, the mental speculators, the mystic jugglers, and so many others. All of them are against the existence of Godhead. They would declare that they are themselves God, although in every step and in every action they are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, a pure devotee may not associate with such gangs of atheists. A strong devotee of the Lord will not be misled by such atheistic propaganda of the non-devotees, but a neophyte devotee should be very cautious about them. A devotee should see the right discharge of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master and should not stick only to the formalities. Under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, one should see how much service is being executed and not simply in the matter of rituals. A devotee should not hanker after anything, but he should be satisfied with things that may automatically come to him by the will of the Lord. That should be the principle of a devotional life, and all these principles are easily learned under the guidance of a spiritual master like Sukadev Goswami. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadev correctly, and one should follow his example. Maharaj Parikshit inquired about the process of creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world, the process of Vedic rituals, and the method of executing pious activities in terms of the supplementary Vedas like the Puranas and Mahabharata. As explained before, the Mahabharata is the history of ancient India, and also are the Puranas. Pious acts are prescribed in the supplementary Vedas Smritis, which specifically mention digging tanks and wells for the water supply for the people in general, to plant trees on the public roads, to construct public temples and places of worship of Lord God, to establish places of charity where the poor destitutes can be provided with foodstuff, and similar activities are called Purta. Similarly, the process of fulfilling the natural desires for sense gratification was also inquired about by the king for the benefit of all concerned.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 22. Yo vanusayinam sargaha vasandasya cha sambhavaha atmano bandha mokshau cha vyavastanam swarupataha yaha. All those va either anasuyinam merged into the body of the Lord. Sargaha, creation, Pasandasya, of the infidels, Cha, and Sambhavaha, appearance, Atmanaha, of the living beings, Bandha, conditioned, Moksha, being liberated, Cha, also, Vyavasthanam, being situated, Swarupataha, in an unconditioned state. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please also explain how, merged in the body of the Lord, living beings are created and how the infidels appear in the world. Also, please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The progressive devotee of the Lord must inquire from the bona fide spiritual master how living entities merged in the body of the Lord again come back at the time of creation. There are two kinds of living entities. There are ever liberated, unconditioned living beings as well as the ever conditioned living beings. Of the ever conditioned living beings, there are two divisions. They are the faithful and the infidels. Of the faithful, there are again two divisions, namely the devotees and the mental speculators. The mental speculators desire to merge into the existence of the Lord or to become one with the Lord, whereas the devotees of the Lord desire to keep separated identities and constantly engage in the service of the Lord. The devotees who are not fully purified as well as the empiric philosophers become conditioned again during the next creation for further purification. Such conditioned souls become liberated by further progress of devotional service to the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit asked all these questions from the bona fide spiritual master in order to become fully equipped in the science of God.
Text 23, Canto 2, Chapter 8. Yathatma tantru bhagavan vikridati atma mayaya vishrajya va yatha mayam udasti sakshivat vibhu. Yatha, as Atma Tantra, independent, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Vikridati, enjoy his pastimes, Atma Mayaya, by his internal potency, Visharjya, by giving up, Va, as also, Yatha, as he desires, Mayam, the external potency, Udaste, remains, Sakshivat, just as the witness, Vibhu, the Almighty. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency and at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency and he remains a witness to it all. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. Lord Shri Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the fountainhead of all other incarnations, is the only independent person. He enjoys his pastimes by creation as he desires and gives them up to the external energy at the time of annihilation. By his internal potency only, he kills the demon Putana. Even though enjoying his pastimes in the lap of his mother Yashoda, and when he desires to leave this world, he creates the pastimes of killing his own family members, Yadukul, and remains unaffected by such annihilation. He is the witness of everything that is happening, and yet he has nothing to do with anything. He is independent in every respect. Maharaj Parikshit desired to know more perfectly, for a pure devotee ought to know well.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 24. Sarvam eta cha bhagavan prachato me nuparvashaha tattvatorhasi udaharatum prapannaya mahamune. Sarvam, all these, etat, inquiries, cha, also that I have not been able to ask. Bhagavan, O great sage, prachata, of the inquisitive, me, myself, anupurvashaha, from the beginning, tattvataha, just in accordance with the truth, arahasi, may kindly be explained, udarhatum, as you will let know, prapannaya, one who is surrendered, mahamune, O great sage. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The spiritual master is always prepared to impart knowledge to the disciple, and specifically when the disciple is very inquisitive. Inquisitiveness on the part of a disciple is greatly necessary for the progressive disciple. Maharaj Parikshit is a typical disciple because he is perfectly inquisitive. If he is not very inquisitive about self-realization One need not approach a spiritual master simply to make a show of discipleship. Not only is Maharaj Parikshit inquisitive concerning all he has inquired about, but he is also anxious to know about what he has not been able to inquire. Factually, it is not possible for a man to inquire about everything and the spiritual master from the spiritual master. But the bona fide spiritual master is able to enlighten the discipline in every way for the disciples' benefit.
Text 25, Canto 2, Chapter 8. Atra pramanam hi bhavan pramesti yathatma bhu apare chanutistha shanti tishtanti purvesham purvajay kritam. Atra, in this matter, pramanam, evidential facts, he, certainly, bhavan, yourself, pramesti, Brahma, the creator of the universe, yatha, as, Atma Bhu, born directly from the Lord, apare, others, cha, only, anutisthanti, just to follow, purvesham, as a matter of custom, purvajay, knowledge suggested by a previous philosopher, kritam, having been done. O great says, you are as good as Brahma, the original living being. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. It may be argued that Sukdev Goswami is not the only authority of perfect knowledge in transcendence, because there are many other sages and their followers, contemporary to Vyasdev or even prior to him. There were many other great sages such as Gautam, Kanad, Jaimini, Kapila, and Ashtavakra, and all of them have presented a philosophical path by themselves. Patanjali is also one of them, and all these 6 great rishis have their own way of thinking, exactly like the modern philosophers and mental speculators. The difference between the 6 philosophical paths put forward by the renowned sages above mentioned and that of Sukdev Goswami as presented in the Srimad Bhagavatam is that all the 6 sages mentioned above speak the facts according to their own thinking, but Sukdev Goswami presents the knowledge which comes down directly from Brahmaji, who is known as Atmabhu, or born of and educated by the Almighty Personality of Godhead. Vedic transcendental knowledge descends directly from the Personality of Godhead by His mercy. Brahma, the first living being in the universe, was enlightened, and from Brahmaji Narad was enlightened, and from Narad Vyas was enlightened. Sukadev Goswami received such transcendental knowledge directly from his father Vyasdev. Thus, the knowledge being received from the chain of disciplic succession is perfect. One cannot be a spiritual master in perfection unless and until one has received the same by disciplic succession. That is the secret of receiving transcendental knowledge. The 6 great sages mentioned above may be great thinkers, but their knowledge by mental speculation is not perfect. However perfect an empiric philosopher may be in presenting a philosophical thesis, such knowledge is never perfect because it is produced by an imperfect mind. Such great sages also have their disciplic successions, but they are not authorized because such knowledge does not come directly from the independent personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. No one can be independent except Narayana. Therefore, no one's knowledge can be perfect, for everyone's knowledge is dependent on the flickering mind. Mind is material, and thus knowledge presented by material speculators is never transcendental and can never become perfect. Mundane philosophers, being imperfect in themselves, disagree with other philosophers because a mundane philosopher is not a philosopher at all unless he presents his own theory. Intelligent persons like Maharaj Parikshit do not recognize such mental speculators, however great they may be, but hear from the authorities like Sukadev Goswami, who is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the Parampara system, as is specifically stressed in the Bhagavad Gita.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 26. Name savaparayanti brahman anasanad ami pibato chutapuyusam tadvakya abdi vinishritam. never, me, mine, asavaha, life, parayanti, becomes exhausted. Brahman, O learned Brahmana, anasanat, ami, because of fasting. Pibatha, because of my drinking. Achuta, of the infallible. Piyusam, nectar. Tat, your. Vakya, abdhi, ocean of speech. Vinihristam, stram, falling down from. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O learned Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, Vyasa and Sukadev Goswami is particularly different from others. The disciplic successions from the other sages are simply a waste of time, being devoid of Achyuta Katha, or the message of the infallible Lord. The mental speculators can present their theories very nicely by reason and arguments, but such reasons and arguments are not infallible, for they are defeated by better mental speculators. Maharaj Parikshit was not interested in the dry speculation of the flickering mind, but he was interested in the topics of the Lord, because factually he felt that by hearing such a nectarian message from the mouth of Sukadev Goswami, he was not feeling any exhaustion, even though he was fasting because of his imminent death. One can indulge in hearing the mental speculator, but such hearing cannot endure for any length of time. One will be exhausted very soon from hearing such hackneyed ways of thinking, and no one in the world can be satisfied simply by hearing such useless speculations. The message of the Lord, especially from a personality like Sukadev Goswami, can never be tiring, even though one may be exhausted from other causes. In editions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the text of the last line of this verse reads, Anyatra kupitat divijat, which means that the king might be overwhelmed by the thought of his imminent death by snake bite. The snake is also twice born, and its anger is compared to the cursing Brahmana boy who was without good intelligence. Maharaja Parikshit was not at all afraid of death, for he was fully encouraged by the message of the Lord. One who is fully absorbed in Achyuta Kanta can never be afraid of anything in this world.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 27. Sutta Vach. Sa upamantrito rajna kathayam iti satpate brahmarato vrisham prito Vishnu ratena samsadi. Sutta Uvach. Srila Sutta Goswami said, Sa, he, Sukadev Goswami, upamantrita, thus being inquired, Rajna, by the king, Kathayam, in the topics, Iti, thus, Satpate, of the highest truth, Brahma Ruta, Sukadev Goswami, Brisham, very much, Prita, pleased, Vishnu Ratena, by Maharaj Parikshit, Samsadi, in the meeting. Sutta Goswami said, thus Sukadev Goswami, being invited by Maharaj Parikshit to speak on topics of the Lord Sri Krishna with the devotees, was very much pleased. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam can be legitimately discussed only among the devotees of the Lord, as the Bhagavad Gita was authoritatively discussed between Lord Krishna and Arjun, the Lord and the devotee respectively. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the postgraduate study of the Bhagavad Gita, can also be discussed between the scholars and the devotees like Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Otherwise, the real taste of the nectar cannot be relished. Sukadev Goswami was pleased with Maharaj Parikshit because he was not at all tired of hearing the topics of the Lord and was more and more anxious to hear them on and on with interest. Foolish interpreters unnecessarily tackle the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam when they have no access to the subject matter. There is no use in non-devotees meddling with the two topmost Vedic literatures, and therefore Shankaracharya did not touch Srimad Bhagavatam for commentation. In his commentation on the Bhagavad Gita, Sripad Shankaracharya accepted Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but later on he commented from the impersonalist view. But being conscious of his position, he did not comment on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Shukdev Goswami was protected by Lord Krishna Vide Brahma Vaivarta Puran, and therefore he is known as Brahmavarta. And Sriman Parikshit Maharaj was protected by Vishnu, and thus he is known as Vishnu Rata. As devotees of the Lord, they are always protected by the Lord. It is clear also in this connection that a Vishnu Rata should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Brahmavarta and no one else, because others misinterpret the transcendental knowledge and thus spoil one's valuable time.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 28. Praha Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate. Praha, he said, Bhagavatam, the science of the personality of Godhead. Nama, of the name. Puranam, the supplement of the Vedas. Brahma Samhitam, just in pursuance of the Vedas. Brahmane, unto Lord Brahma. Bhagavat Proktam, was spoken by the personality of Godhead. Brahma Kalpe, the millennium in which Brahma was first generated. Upagate, just in the beginning. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. He began to reply to the inquiries of Maharaja Parikshit by saying that the science of the personality of Godhead was spoken first by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supplementary Vedic literature, and it is just in pursuance of the Vedas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the personality of Godhead. The impersonalist always tries to misrepresent the personal feature of the Lord, not knowing the science of this great knowledge. And Srimad Bhagavatam is in pursuance of the Vedas and scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. To learn this science, one should take shelter of the representative of Sri Sukadeva Goswami and follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit without foolishly attempting to interpret, thereby committing a great offense at the feet of the Lord. The dangerous ways of interpretations by the non-devotee class of men have played havoc in understanding the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the careful student should always alert in this matter if he at all wants to learn the science of Godhead.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 29. Yad yat parikshit rashaba pandunam anuprachati adupurvena tatsarvam akyatum upachakar krame. Yat whatsoever, Parikshit the king, Rasabha the best, Pandunam in the dynasty of Pandu, Anuprachati goes on inquiring, Anupurvene, all the beginning to the end, Tat all those, Sarvam fully, Akyatum to describe, Upachakrame he just prepared himself. He also prepared himself to reply to all that King Parikshit had inquired from him. Maharaj Parikshit was the best in the dynasty of the Pandus, and thus he was able to ask the right questions from the right person. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Parikshit asked many questions, some of them very curiously, to know things as they are. But it is not necessary for the masters to answer them in the order of the disciples' inquiries, one after the other. But Sukadeva Goswami, experienced teacher that he was, answered all the questions in a systematic way as they were received from the chain of disciplic succession, and he answered all of them without exception. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the second canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by King Parikshit.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 1. Answers by citing the Lord's version. Text 1. Sri Sukha Uvacha Atmamayam Rite Rajan Parasayanubhavatmanaha Nagate Tartha Sambandhaha Swapnadrastur Ivajasa. Sri Sukha Uvacha, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Atma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mayam, energy, Rite, without, Rajan, O King, Parasya, of the pure soul, Anubhava Atmanaha, of the purely conscious, Na, never, Gateta, it can so happen, Ardha, meaning, Sambandhaha, relation with the material body, Swapna, dream, Drastuhu, of the seer, Eva like Anjasa completely. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer seeing his own body working. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Parikshit's question as to how a living entity began his material life, although he is apart from the material body and mind, is perfectly answered. The spirit soul is distinct from the material conception of his life, but is absorbed in such a material conception because of being influenced by the external energy of the Lord called Atma Maya. This has already been explained in the first canto in connection with Vyasadeva's realization of the Supreme Lord and his external energy. The external energy is controlled by the Lord, and the living entities are controlled by the external energy, by the will of the Lord. Therefore, although the living entity is purely conscious in his pure state, he is subordinate to the will of the Lord is in being influenced by the external energy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.15 also the same thing is confirmed. The Lord is present within the heart of every living entity, and all the living entities' consciousness and forgetfulness are influenced by the Lord. Now the next question automatically made will be why the Lord influences the living entity so to such consciousness and forgetfulness. The answer is that the Lord clearly wishes that every living entity be in his pure consciousness as a part and parcel of the Lord, and thus be engaged in the loving service of the Lord as he is constitutionally made. But because the living entity is partially independent also, he may not be willing to serve the Lord, but may try to become as independent as the Lord is. All the non-devotee living entities are desirous of becoming equally as powerful as the Lord, although they are not fit to become so. The living entities are illusioned by the will of the Lord because they wanted to become like him. Like a person who thinks of becoming a king without possessing the necessary qualifications. When the living entity desires to become the Lord himself, he is put in a condition of dreaming that he is a king. Therefore, the first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord, and the consequent will of the Lord is that the living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of Utopia, where he may become one like the Lord. The child cries to have the moon from the mother, and the mother gives the child a mirror to satisfy the crying and disturbing child with the reflection of the moon. Similarly, the crying child of the Lord is given out to the reflection, the material world, to lord it over as karmi, and to give this up in frustration to become one with the Lord. But both these stages are dreaming illusions only. There is no necessity of tracing out the history of when the living entity described this, but the fact is that as soon as he desired it, he was put under the control of Atma Maya by the direction of the Lord. Therefore, the living entity in his material condition is dreaming falsely that this is mine and this is I. The dream is that the conditioned soul thinks of this material body as I, or falsely thinks that he is the Lord, and that everything in connection with that material body is mine. Thus only in dreams does the misconception of I and mine persist life after life. This continues life after life as long as the living entity is not purely conscious of his identity as the subordinate part and parcel of the Lord. In his pure consciousness, however, there is no such misconceived dream, and in that pure conscious state, the living entity does not forget that he is never the Lord, but that he is eternally the servant of the Lord in transcendental law.
Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 2. Bahurupa iva bhati mayaya bahurupasya ramamano guneshva asya mamaham iti manyate. Bahurupa, multiforms. Iva, as it were. Abhati, manifested. Mayaya, by the influence of the exterior energy. Bahurupaya, in multifarious forms. Ramamana, enjoying as it were. Guneshu, in the modes of different qualities. Ashya, of the external energy. Mama, mine. aham, I, iti, thus, manyate, thinks. Translation: the illusioned living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encaged living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The different forms of the living entities are different dresses offered by the illusory external energy of the Lord according to the modes of nature the living being desires to enjoy. The external material energy is represented by her three modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, even in the material nature, there is a chance of an independent choice by the living entity. And according to his choice, the material energy offers him different varieties of material bodies. There are 900,000 varieties of material bodies in the water, 2 million vegetable bodies, 1.1 million worms and reptiles, 1 million forms of birds, 3 million different bodies of beasts, and 400,000 human forms. Altogether, there are 8.4 million varieties of bodies in different planets of the universe. And the living entity is traveling by so many transmigrations according to different modes of enjoying spirit within themselves. Even in one particular body, the living entity changes from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth, from youth to old age, and from old age to another body created by his own action. The living entity creates his own body by his personal desires, and the external energy of the Lord supplies him the exact form by which he can enjoy his desires to the fullest extent. The tiger wanted to enjoy the blood of another animal, and therefore, by the grace of the Lord, the material energy supplied him the body of the tiger with facilities for enjoying blood from another animal. Similarly, a living entity desiring to get the body of a demigod in a higher planet can also get it by the grace of the Lord. And if he is intelligent enough, he can desire to get a spiritual body to enjoy the company of the Lord. And he will get it. So the minute freedom of the living entity can be fully utilized. And the Lord is so kind that he will award the living entity the same type of body he desires. The living entity is desiring is like dreaming of a golden mountain. A person knows what a mountain is, and he knows also what gold is. Out of his desire only he dreams of a golden mountain, and when the dream is over, he sees something else in his presence. He finds in his awakened state that there is neither gold nor a mountain, and what to speak of a golden mountain. The different positions of the living entities in the material world under multifarious manifestations of bodies are due to the misconception of mine and I. The karmi thinks of this world as mine, and the jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by the conditioned souls, is on the basis of this misconceived I and mine, which are products of a strong desire to enjoy material life. Identification with the body and the place where the body is, obtained under different conceptions of socialism, nationalism, family affection, and so on and so forth, is all due to forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity. And the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Sukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, as all this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, bro. Hare Krishna, thank you, bro. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 3. Yarhi vava mahimni sve parasmin kala mayayo ramet gata samohas tyakdodaste tado bhayam. Yarhi, at any time, certainly, mahimni, in the glory, sway of himself, parasmin, in the supreme, kala, time, mayayo, of the material energy, rameta, enjoys, gata sammoha, being freed from the misconception, tyaktva, giving up, udaste, in fullness, tada, then, ubhayam, both the misconceptions of I and mine. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in this constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as a pure self. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state, the conception of mine is very prominent, and in the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. In the animal state of life, the misconception of mine is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs, who fight with one another with the same misconception of mine. In the lower stage of human life, the same misconception is also prominent in the shape of it's my body, it is my body, it is my house, it is my family, and it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher stage of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mine is transformed into I am, or it is all I am, etc. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors, but the real significance of I can be realized only when one is situated in the consciousness of I am the eternal servant of the Lord. This is pure consciousness, and the whole Vedic literatures teach us this conception of life. The misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the misconception of mine. Although there are sometimes directions in the Vedic literatures to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identical with the Lord in every respect. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately the living entity is subordinate to the Lord, and he is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of the Lord. The Lord therefore asks the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to the supreme will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal to in all respects, then why was he put under the influence of Maya? We have already discussed many times that the material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this controlling power of the Lord over the material nature. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as a supreme being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in the future. Even accepting that in the future one will be as good as controller of material nature as the supreme being, then why is one now under the control of material nature? The Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from the control of the material nature by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. But if there is no surrender, then the living entity will never be able to control the material nature. So one must also give up this misconception of I by practicing the way of devotional service, or firmly being situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life, but if by chance the same man gets a good service under the government, he at once becomes happy. There is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, who is the controller of all energies. But one should be constantly situated in one's own glory, namely to be situated in the pure consciousness of being the eternal servant of the Lord. In his conditional life, the living entity is servant of the illusory Maya, and in his liberated state, he is the pure, unqualified servant of the Lord. To become untinged by the modes of material nature is the qualification for entering into the service of the Lord. As long as one is servant of material concoctions, one cannot be complementary free from the disease of I and mine. The supreme truth is uncontaminated by the illusory energy because he is the controller of that energy. The relative truths are apt to be engrossed in illusory energy. The best purpose is served, however, when one is directly facing the supreme truth, as when one faces the sun. The sun overhead in the sky is full of light, but when the sun is not in the visible sky, all is in darkness. Similarly, when one is face to face with the Supreme Lord, he is freed from all illusions, and one who is not so in the darkness of illusory Maya. The Bhagavad Gita 14.6 confirms this as follows: Mam chayo vyabicharena bhakti yogena sevata sa gunan samatityetan Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So the science of Bhakti Yoga of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing the Srimad Bhagavata from the Lord. And so the science of Bhakti Yoga of worshipping the Lord, glorifying the Lord, hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right sources, not from the professional man, but from a person who is Bhagavatam in life, and being always in the association of pure devotees, should be adopted in earnestness. One should not be misled by misconceptions of I and mine. The karmis are fond of the conception of mine. The jnanis are fond of the conception of I, and both of them are unqualified to be free from the bondage of the illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mine, and Srila Vyasadeva transcribed them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. The living entity has to be situated in the transcendental position where there is no more influence of time nor of the material energy. In conditioned life, the living entity is subjected to the influence of time in the dream of past, present, and future. The mental speculator tries to conquer the influence of time by future speculations of becoming Vasudeva or the Supreme Lord himself by means of culturing knowledge and conquering over ego. But the process is not perfect. The perfect process is to accept Lord Vasudeva as the Supreme Personality of everything, and the best perfection in culturing knowledge is to surrender unto Him because He is the source of everything. Only in that conception can one get rid of the moment of misconception of only in that conception one can get rid of the misconception of I and mine. Both Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam confirm it. Srila Vyasadeva has specifically contributed to the illusion living entity, the science of God, and the process of Bhakti Yoga in his great literature Srimad Bhagavatam, and the conditioned soul should fully take advantage of this great science. We'll stop here. We'll continue from tomorrow. Friday, Radhesham Prabhu's class is there, so we'll continue reading on Saturday from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 4. Hare Krishna.
श्री गुरु चरण पद्म केवल भक्ति सद्मा श्री गुरु चरण पद्म केवल भक्ति सद्मा बंधु मुई सावधान मोते बंधु मुई सावधान मोते बंधु मुई सावधान मोते बंधु मुई सावधान मोते जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भव तोरिया जाय जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भव तोरिया जाय कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जहाँ हईते कृष्ण प्राप्ति होय जहाँ होइते गुरुमुख पद्म वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या और ना कोरी हो मोने आशा और ना कोरी हो मोने आशा श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होइते अविद्या विनाश जते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होइते अविद्या विनाश जत वेदे गाए जहाँ चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवन हा प्रभु कोरो दया देहो मोरे पद च हा प्रभु कोरो दया देहो मोरे पद छया एबे जस घुषु त्रिभुवन शिला प्रभुपादोइलो शरण जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवरेकाचार्य अष्टोत्र श्रीमती श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवरेकाचार्य अष्टोत्र श्रीमत भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती महाराज शिला प्रभुपाद की जय नामचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वैष्णव गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरी टू द समल डिवोटीज हरे कृष्ण ऑल ग्लोरी टू ऑल ग्लोरी टू द ऑल ग्लोरी टू श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरांग ऑल ग्लोरी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्ताव उत्तर श्रीमत भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी के नाम नमस्ते सरस्वती देवतो रवाणी The lotus feet of a spiritual master is the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of mortal suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opened my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The way the scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Jai Shri